G'day champions, we've got a Dark Glass Alpha Omega Ultra bass preamp pedal here. No power, so let's have a look. Already removed the screws. Pretty amazing packaging in these things, and I've seen the same sort of machining from other Dark Glass products. It's like the whole box is made from a piece of billet aluminium, which is machined and anodized, and looks like they've gone with, looks like laser etching on the front, although it's indetectable to the touch, but it almost looks like a silk screen. But very nice packaging, very nice chassis. However, it looks like we've got a failed DC jack on this, which is pretty common on this model. And it's got the usual pedal weirdo self-aggrandizing comments on the PCB there. Brilliance without courage is worthless. Thanks, Doug. Get your cock out of your hand, Doug. Alright, so 7/16 socket. We'll get out that circuit board. Fortunately, it is pretty easy to remove this circuit board without taking the whole works apart. We can just remove those two jacks and swing her up. But that also tells us that there is no support for that DC input jack. Now looking closely, you can see that that's a surface mount jack with no mechanical support at all. It's just relying on those tiny little pads there on the circuit board. So they all break, which is fantastic. Now this is kind of inexplicable because all the other jacks on this board are through hole. So why did they decide to go for a surface mount DC jack when they could have just used a through hole one? And with the through hole plating, they're relatively strong. No idea why they've done that. That seems really stupid to me, and of course predictable results. They fall off the board and they often take a pad with it, which means you've got to run wires and somehow mechanically mount the thing. So I'll have a look through my parts drawer, see what I've got that I can mount, maybe screw directly to that chassis. We do have limited room here, but we might be able to find something that I can just tighten to the chassis with hardware independent of the board, and then just solder some wires to the existing pads with no mechanical stress on them as a result. What were you saying about brilliance there, Doug? Alright, champion, so none of the pads have been ripped off. We could be within our rights, and some other people might just resolder that existing jack to those pads again and just wait for it to happen again, but we try not to do things half-assed here at Brad's Guitar Garage. So here's the solution I've come up with. Here's our cutout. It's about 3/8 of an inch, or like 9.5 millimeters. And here's the new jack I want to use. You'll notice it's not insulated, and it is about just under 8 mil. I'd say that's probably an M8 fine thread. So two problems. We've got to insulate it somehow from the chassis, and we have to center it on that hole. So I've got these little things, plastic shouldered washers, exactly for that purpose, champions. So it's designed so you can use like an 8mm shank pot in a a traditional 3/8 inch hole for the potentiometer. From memory, they're not cheap. I can't remember where I got them, if it was Tater or somewhere like Evatco or somewhere, but I seem to remember them being like $9 for 10 of them or something like that, almost $1 each. So not cheap, but when you need it, you need it. So by the time I've released this video, I would have tracked down where I get them from, so I'll put the link in the description down below. Now I could use a plastic one, they are available, but they're just a bit flimsy, and I trust the metal shank there, the metal thread, a little bit more than the chewy plastic thread, especially when you got pedals that are getting stomped on and abused, which they all do. So these washers go on like that. You can see the shoulder points forwards. We could put it on the outside too if we want it to look pretty. I might do that. And on the other side we've got a fibre washer, which I've just trimmed down to suit. And from the outside it looks like that. It looks reasonably professional as Brad's Guitar Garage gets anyway. Put the metal washer on there just to distribute load, and the nut. I'll just check that that PCB doesn't bump into anything. Alright, it's probably a bit hard to make out down there, but I can see that the board itself has probably about 2 to 3 mil clearance to the body of the jack, so perfect. So now I've just got to run some wires. We'll just tack solder to those pads because they're not under any strain in normal use. and give her a test. Now, because there is no battery in this unit, these two pads are just connected directly to the ground plane. This pad is connected to the knee bone, and this one's connected to nothing. So one of these terminals on the new jack will be unused because we don't need the switching contacts, being that it's DC input only. Alright, there we have it. So I'll just pass the ground wire to both the pads, any help we can get, and just tack soldered this one. Decent blob of solder, but you know, not over the top. And wide onto the jack down there. Let's get this thing reinstalled and give it a test. Alright, so first startup procedure unsuccessful, and looking closely I can see that moving this back and forward we've broken our ribbon connector, so I'm going to have to cut a bit off that and re-terminate all those connections. Alright champions, so I'll strip back the ribbon connector, cleared the solder joints. What I might do is pass it over the top, just a little bit less stressful than having it fold up underneath and bend back and forth every time you remove the board. But having said that, we shouldn't have to remove the board anymore because we've got rid of its weak spot, despite the brilliance aforementioned. Alright, she's back together. Do we have blast off? We have blast off. Sweet as. Oh well champions, it is what it is. Almost every product has at least one shortcoming, some many more. But as long as the manufacturer does right by their customers when something goes wrong, and I might add, revises it and corrects that issue on the next iteration of the product, no harm done. So anyway, it is what it is. Moving on to the next one. Catch ya on that one.